Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Crime Weekly News. I'm Derek Lavasser.
And I'm Stephanie Harlow.
Today we're going to be talking about something that I'm really not that familiar with. Stephanie was filling me in earlier, and that's this claim by this woman who states that she's Madeleine McCann. To be completely transparent, I've heard the name, don't really know the specifics of the case. Maybe something we'll cover on Crime Weekly one week or over a couple weeks. But Stephanie was kind of explaining it to me today, and I said, all right, let's do it. Crime Weekly News. So that's where we are.
Yeah, this is a case for me. You know, people are always like, what case would you want to know, the outcome to, or would you want solved out of all of the true crime cases out there? And Madeleine McCann and JonBenet Ramsey are like top two for me. This was actually one of the first cases, like one of the first true crime videos I did, and I got really into it. And I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the case. Madeleine McCann, she vanished from a ground floor apartment in Praia de Luz, Portugal, when she was just 3 years old. And this happened on May 3rd, 2007. Now, Madeleine was actually in Portugal on vacation, or holiday, as they call it in the UK, with her parents, who were both doctors in the UK, Kate and Gerry McCann, as well as her two younger siblings. The siblings were 2 years old and they were twins. So basically what happened is the McCanns were there with a group of friends and the friends' children's. So there was 7 adults and then 8 children. So 7 friends and 8 children. And the friends and the McCanns have become known as like the Tapas 7 because of what happened here. On the evening of May 3rd, all the adults put all the kids to bed. And they put them to bed in these like apartments. So it's not like a resort. It's not a gated community. It's just like an apartment on the street in Portugal. And the adults put their kids to bed in these apartments, all separate apartments, because they were all staying in different ones. Madeleine and her siblings happened to be on a ground floor one. And then all the adults said, let's peace out and let's go to dinner, which was just a short walk away from the building, but still not like on site. Although Kate and Gerry McCann have done their most to make it seem like it was really just a short distance. I remember Kate McCann said something like, oh, it was like dining in your garden. No, it wasn't. It was not like dining in your garden. You were away from the apartment. This was a foreign country. You were on a ground floor apartment and you left your 3 children, all 3 years old and under, sleeping in this apartment while you were over there having drinks and having dinner. So all the adults go to this tapas place to have dinner, and they claimed that they were checking on the children regularly throughout the evening. And then Kate McCann went to check on them around 10 p.m. She found that Madeleine was missing from her bed. She rose the alarm. She ran out and said, they took Madeleine. Madeleine's gone. She never really says who took Madeleine, and we don't really know why she just assumed Madeleine was gone. But a lot of people felt that Kate and Gerry McCann's story was off, and that the whole group of adults was suspicious in general. But in 2022, Christian Bruckner, who was a German pedophile, he was named as an official suspect in Madeleine's disappearance. He actually had a history of previous convictions, including child sex offenses, and the police claimed that he was living in the Algarve region, which is in Portugal, between 1995 and 2007, and he was known to burglarize flats in the area from which Madeleine went missing. But as of this month, February of 2023, it's been reported that the German police and prosecutors in Germany are unable to prove that Christian Bruckner is responsible for Madeleine's disappearance and what they believed was her subsequent murder. So basically, all these people who've been questioned about Madeleine McCann in regards to Christian Bruckner, they were like, we don't think the police have shit now because they keep asking us the same questions and they keep coming back. And they haven't really gotten enough to move forward with these charges. So that's kind of where the case ended. I think it's still an active and ongoing investigation in the UK. Operation Grange, they called it. I think they still check in on it once in a while. But Madeleine was presumed to be kidnapped, abducted by Christian Bruckner, this German pedophile, and then murdered. And although they can't prove that and her body has never been found, that's what people kind of believe. It's not what I believe, but that is what people believe. Now, there's a young woman in Poland who's claiming that she believes she may be Madeleine McCann. So is this case ringing a bell for you a little bit more now? These young kids just sitting in this Portugal apartment on a main street. This wasn't a resort. It wasn't a gated community. They were just there for the taking? And I feel like it's such a popular case.
It's definitely a case that's I've heard of before. I've seen in our emails and our DMs recommended for us to cover it, because some people are not coming from your channel, so they're hearing about us for the first time and don't even realize that you've already covered it. So they're like, yeah, cover Madeleine McCann. I didn't know the specifics. I didn't know that detail that the parents had just left them in the hotel room unattended.
No, it wasn't a hotel. It's like an apartment. Like an Airbnb kind of deal, except back then it wasn't.
Even if it was a hotel.
I know,
Even
right?
if it was a hotel.
Right.
I don't think it's going out on a limb here saying that's dumb. You don't do that. That's stupid. It doesn't mean that what happened they deserved. It just means that it was a dumb decision and it cost them greatly. As far as this woman's concerned, I mean, it's a pretty quick, easy solve, right? I mean, you can have her do a DNA test to see if there's a familial match. It wouldn't take long to do something like that. So I think this can be debunked fairly quickly. But it sounds like, from what you're saying, and I haven't looked into this woman, it sounds like maybe I don't know if she's necessarily confirming that she is or just thinks she might be, and maybe she's looking for answers as well. Or is she saying, no, I'm Madeleine McCann?
No, she seems to be looking for answers as well. And I definitely believe that she believes she is. I think that she's had some stuff go down in her past, some childhood trauma, and she's sort of like, grasping around trying to find a rhyme and a reason for it. But her name's 21-year-old Julia Wendell. And she went viral over the weekend, posting from an Instagram account called I Am Madeleine McCann. She's actually shown photos of Madeleine. Oh, Madeleine McCann, man. This kid has really just taken root in my heart. And I could see her little face, and it's so cute and it's so sad. What happened to her? But she showed pictures of Madeleine McCann, and she's like, see, I have the same dimple here, and I have the same physical features, and look how much I look like Kate and Jerry McCann. But what seems to be catching people's attention the most is that Julia shares this rare eye defect with Madeleine McCann. So Madeleine had a marking in her right eye, and this was due to a rare condition. And this was the physical characteristic that everybody said to look out for when Madeleine was missing, because it was kind of like a freckle in her eye. And that was kind of on the missing persons posters. This was a very significant physical characteristic to look out for. And Julia is saying, see, I have this characteristic as well, which she does in the same eye. So Julia Wendell says, quote, police investigators from UK and Poland tried to ignore me. I will tell my story in posts here. I've asked for pictures of when my mom was pregnant with me, other medical records, and any pictures from my childhood, and she never shows them. She just tells me I'm crazy. My school teacher, when I was very young, said that I wasn't there from the start, but my parents insist I was. After all this confusion, I began to do my own research and discovered what happened to Madeleine McCann and started to piece together the similarities we shared. Additionally, Julia also claims to have post-traumatic amnesia as a result of being sexually abused by a German pedophile, and not Christian Bruckner, a different German pedophile. And she said that it took her months to understand all of it and to realize that, things weren't fitting together, and she started putting the puzzle together. And she said that this man who sexually abused her repeatedly has the last name Ney, and she believes that he might be the son of Martin Ney, who was reportedly a suspect in Madeleine's disappearance years ago. And this guy, this German pedophile that abused her, he's married to her grandmother, and they live together in Poland. So Julia goes on to say that her kindergarten teacher, the same one who said that she was not there from the start of her kindergarten year and she came, kind of halfway through, this kindergarten teacher remembers Julia having attacks of hysteria, crying, and suffering from nervous tics after she started kindergarten late. And she also says she has memories from her early childhood vacations, which the McCanns took a lot of, usually bringing their children. She said she remembers baby turtles, and turtles hatch in May or June, which is when Madeleine went missing, and white apartment blocks. And then there was a bar where there was some performance by some ladies in costume, and she's remembering these things. And she's basically describing Praia da Luz in Portugal, the white buildings and the turtles on the beach and things like that. That is Portugal. Now, Does that mean she's actually having these memories or she thinks she's having them? Whatever. I don't know. But allegedly, a source close to Kate and Jerry McCann claim that they are willing to hear her out if she takes a DNA test, which Julia claims she's willing to do. And this source said, quote, "The family's taking no chances. They're willing to look at all leads. It's important that they look at all the factors. The girl does look similar. There's no disputing that. If what she says is true, there's every chance that it could be her. It all adds up." There's a couple issues here. Julia's 21. Madeleine McCann would have been 19. But Julia says she could be wrong about her birth date. She could be wrong about her age because she's just going based on what her parents told her. And if her parents got her through some nefarious source, they're not going to be honest with her. And a lot of commenters online claim that even with some of these similarities, Julia does not look like Madeleine McCann. They have different jaw lines, things like that. I agree. I don't think physically she looks very much like Madeleine McCann. The eyes are different. Maddie had very, very distinctive eyes. The eyes are slightly different, but I don't know. I don't think she is, but I think she thinks that she is. And I think she's got a lot of issues and a lot of emotional trauma and stuff that she's trying to work through. And this might be her way, but I would be interested to see the results of a DNA test 100%.
Well, the good news is you're going to get it because she posted, I'm on the Instagram page. She posted 10 hours ago that Jerry and Kate have agreed to a DNA test. So they're going to do it. They're going to do it. It does seem like in her earlier post, they were a little against it. Because she said, hey, everyone's asking me in my comments if I would do a DNA test, and I will, but they won't. And then 10 hours ago, she put up a reel stating that, thank you so much for the support. Jerry and Kate McCann agreed to the DNA test. And she has a heart emoji and a crying emoji. So I don't know if Jerry and Kate actually believe this either, but I think it's one of those things where one, as a parent who's lost a child, anything where if they're looking at it and it's like, listen, what do we have to lose? It's not very invasive to do a DNA test. We'll do it. Worst case scenario, we just prove that this woman is not our child and we can move on with our lives and she'll stop. Or best case scenario, it is Madeleine. So I'm glad they agreed to the test. I agree with you. She doesn't resemble her too much other than the eye abnormality that you have there. I feel like she's a
dimple. There's a dimple, that they share in common, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, she's got a bunch of side-by-sides if you want to check it out. It's I Am Madeleine McCann, as you said. We'll see what happens. I'm sure they're going to do it fairly quickly. You don't want to re-traumatize the family. They already have gone through so much. So they'll do the test quick, see what it comes back as, and I think very quickly we're going to find out whether or not she is in fact Madeleine. And I mean, I hope it is. I hope it is for the parents' sake.
Don't even get me started on these parents, okay? Everybody who's seen my videos knows how I feel about these people. There's something shady going on, and they're over here yeah, let's give her a DNA test because we know it's not Madeleine. That's just my opinion. Don't come for me, Kate and Jerry, but there was a bunch of stuff. And I mean, this was a Portuguese investigation, and the Portuguese officials definitely thought that Kate and Jerry were suspicious, and they actually named them as people of interest pretty early on. And there was certain things like Madeleine's stuffed animal, Cuddle Cat. Kate was always seen clutching it, but then she washed Cuddle Cat. I just don't see it's so stupid, but I don't see your child holding onto something and then you washing that within days of your child going missing, knowing that it would still smell like your child, that it would still have her DNA or her skin cells or her hair or something on it. And then you're like, my child was stolen from this apartment. I'm just going to wash her favorite animal that she was holding when she went missing. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't add up and doesn't make a lot of sense. This is one of those cases we might want to cover it on Crime Weekly one day. Let us know in the comments if you want us to, because that would be a pretty hefty multi-parter, because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. And this was one of my first, I think it was the first, I think Madeleine McCann was what brought me into the algorithm, honestly. So I covered it very thoroughly, and I got real deep, and I went places I did not want to go at that time. And it was just, it's a crazy case. So I don't think it's her.
I don't think it's her, but just on the surface, I feel like she's being genuine. What's going on behind the scenes? I don't know if she's got some things going on that might lead her to believe this. But I genuinely think this is a young woman who
is troubled,
wants answers for herself. And it just so happens that this case is so popular. I'm sure she started, just like a lot of these cases, because it has happened before, where you have a young woman or man who happens to see something online and they think they know what their upbringing and their childhood was, and they find out that, you know, this person online looks like me, and it turns out to be them. So wouldn't be the first time it's happened, but it's very rare. However, I don't see the harm in it.
I call it the Anastasia syndrome. Remember, like everybody, when Anastasia Romanov, you know, of the Russian like czars, when the whole Romanov family was killed, they didn't find her body right away, and then all these girls were coming out of the woodwork, like, I'm Anastasia. So that happened for years, and just recently, I feel like within the past 5 years, they found her remains, so they know she died. You know, even though this happened like so long ago. But even up till then, until they found the remains, there were still women coming out claiming like they were her. It's crazy.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like there's any financial incentive here, but we don't really know someone's motive until you really get down to it. And nobody's investigated her thoroughly enough to know. But instead of her just saying like, hey, I think I'm her, and if you want to donate some money to me, great. They're going with the DNA test. So all the chips will be on the table. We'll have an update. And when we do, if she puts something out publicly or they put something out publicly, obviously if it is her, you guys will know immediately, because it'll be national news that this young woman was able to solve her own case, right? That'd be crazy. I mean, I hope that happens. I just, you know, got to set our expectations appropriately.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, because I don't see a motive either. And she said that, you know, she's kind of on there. She's like, oh, you haters. She keeps calling them haters. She's like, you haters think I'm trying to get something from this. Like, I have nothing to gain from this, you know, besides like figuring out who I am. So I definitely think if she was doing this for like publicity or something, she kind of stretch it out longer and she wouldn't go right to DNA test. That's the way I feel. This just happened. And she's already like talking about DNA test. So I feel like that gives a little legitimacy to at least her believing that it's the truth.
Right. It's going to be very obvious, yes or no. There's going to be no way to interpret that result and say, oh, well, you know, it says I'm not their child, but I think I still could be. No, it says you're not their child. You're not their child. So we'll see what happens. I hope the best for them. I feel bad for the parents. I know on this, I'm only talking from a surface level. You have a deeper understanding of them, but just on the surface, I obviously feel terrible for the parents, especially if it's not Madeleine, because it's opening old wounds that have probably never healed in the first place. So I think it creates this sense of hope, this false hope possibly. And also it probably just brings it all to the forefront, because I'm sure as hard as it is to move on, there's probably some level of coping and just going throughout your day. And then something like this happens. And although it may seem very unlikely, and it sounds like even Kate and Jerry don't believe it's Madeleine, I'm sure there's a little part of them that's like, I hope we're wrong. You know, I hope, imagine, I'm sure that conversation is happening in that home where if they had nothing to do with it or anything like that, where they're like, what if it is her? You know, and it's hard probably not to get your hopes up, but we'll see how it goes. It's an interesting case. And unfortunately, depending on what happened to Madeleine when she was taken, could it have been like a child trafficking situation where she ended up in I mean, it absolutely could be the case.
That'd be the best case scenario, I guess, you know?
Yeah. She's still alive. That'd be because I know that a lot of people, you know, assume that she's no longer with us. So this would be a better outcome.
The best of the worst outcomes, I guess.
Yeah. Well, at minimum, it's a lesson we can all take from this is not to victim blame here, but do not leave your children unattended in any type of situation where, even though the door may be secured, it allows someone to get in there and take one of them, because it's parent 101. You don't do it. I don't even.
Oh, no, the door wasn't secured. They left it unlocked. So it would be easier for them to get in and check on the kids regularly, which I don't believe they were doing, by the way. I think maybe if they were going there once an hour, it was a lot. Okay, but yeah, they left the sliding glass door unlocked, you know? So
we're going to definitely have to cover, because
man.
Who's hand checking these doors? Who's hand checking these doors to see if it's unlocked in the first place? But
it's Portugal. Like, people were robbing the freaking places all the time. So let's say you're just like, you know it's a tourist area, right? And you know tourists stay in these, like, because they're like holiday apartments, you know? So it's not like people live there. So if you're from the area, you know that tourists stay there. So you're like maybe like even watching
doors for jewelry and
you see you see all the parents leave to go to dinner, and you're like, okay, I got like an hour, 90 minutes. Let me shuffle and rifle through these people's apartments and see what I can find, you know. And you find children slumbering in their beds, and you're like, well, these parents are terrible. let me grab one. Like, come on. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, we should cover it. If you guys want us to cover Madeleine McCann, write in the comments, yes, cover Madeleine McCann. Or just Madeleine McCann.
I'm going to vote yes.
Yeah.
For my vote. One vote yes. Let's see how many we get. There's a lot of cases. You guys have been submitting a lot of cases to us. Trust me, it's nothing. The list is like infinite at this point. We're doing the best we can. We only cover one case at a time. So don't be offended if I respond to most of you saying, yeah, it's on the list. It is. There's a list. It's infinite. We would have to do a case every single day to even like make a dent in the list. So just bear with us, but we try to cover the ones that are being requested a lot, and something that we can really dive into, where it's not just something that Stephanie can cover because there's only one side to it, where something I can actually weigh in on. So keep them coming. We'll keep doing the Crime Weekly news. Hopefully there's nothing too relevant that, like, we don't any more mass shootings, things like that. I'd rather do stuff like this, which might have a positive outcome, as opposed to some of the other stuff that we've done. So I think we'll wait and see what happens, and whether it's on Crime Weekly or Crime Weekly News, we will update you guys. We will let you know what the outcome of this whole thing is, and hopefully it's a good outcome. But either way, once we know, you will know if you haven't already figured it out on your own.
Yeah, we'll update you one way or the other. Thank you guys so much for being here for this week's Crime Weekly News. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Derek, what is our Instagram?
Come on. No, you got this.
Crime Weekly Pod?
Yeah. Spreading your wings. Let's go. Fly, little bird. Crime Weekly Pod on Instagram. Nailed it.
Crime Weekly Pod on Instagram.
And what is it on Twitter?
Shit.
You got this. Super easy.
At
Crime Weekly Pod.
Crime Weekly Pod.
I know. It's a difficult one. You got it. That's two. And if they want to check out our coffee, come on. You can do this. I know we're pushing it
on
tonight.
Instagram, it's Drink Criminal
Coffee. Because you wanted it. Drink Criminal Coffee, right?
Yes. And on Twitter, it's Drink Criminal.
Look at you.
Right?
Look at you.
I wanted them both to be the same, but you just didn't listen to me.
Again, I wanted them both to be the same as well, but Drink Criminal Coffee is too long. So I said we should have them the both. And you said, no, I want Instagram to be Drink Criminal Coffee.
Because Drink Criminal sounds weird. Like, what am I drinking here? Okay.
Well, it's our Twitter handle.
What am I drinking?
You were the one that wanted them different. I'm glad you said that you want them the same, though. And I was like,
I did want
characters.
them the same. I wanted them to be the same. Drink Criminal Coffee. So I wanted
but
them
Twitter
both to be
doesn't allow that.
Freaking Twitter.
I'm sorry.
That's what they need to improve on. Letting
yes.
bigger
We're going to send a note. Elon, make it longer.
Elon, so you're supposed to be making this better. You've made it worse. Let's get on this, please.
Yeah, I'm game. All right, we're out of here. We're going to film an episode of Crime Weekly right now, right after this. So, guys, as always, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do, because these videos come out midweek, usually on a Wednesday, but it can be a little bit earlier, it could be a little bit later. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like it if you have time. It only takes a second and it really helps us out. We will see you guys next week. Stay safe out there.
Bye.